Good evening and welcome to My Advice and Dr. Wells webinar, Turn Website Visitors into Weight Loss Patients Without Seeing More Patients. My name's Rachel Lemieux and I manage the corporate and marketing for My Advice, and I'm kicking things off today. Some quick housekeeping tips before we jump in. We're going to save all questions for the end. Please submit them in the chat or Q&A section and we'll monitor those. We're going to do our best to get to Q&A at the end, but if we don't, we promise we'll get back to you with answers. So just don't hesitate to ask anything, and we'll make sure that we get all those questions answered. We'll be sending a copy of the recording tomorrow, just in case you miss anything or want to share it with a coworker. So don't worry, you'll get that as well. Our presenters today are Chad Sawyer, COO at Dr. Well, and Robbie Antozzi, Director of Practice Growth at My Advice. Here's a little bit about our speakers. Chad's the COO of Dr. Well, a leading provider-to-consumer network that empowers healthcare providers to scale and grow weight and wellness programs. With a commitment to responsible and effective patient care, Dr. Well bridges the gap between providers and consumers, ensuring high-quality, medically guided wellness solutions. Dr. Well has built a network of providers, helping them navigate the evolving healthcare landscape while delivering sustainable results to patients. Robbie Antozzi has 13 years of experience in digital marketing in the medical space and is a trusted partner for wellness practices and other medical specialists looking to grow their cash-based businesses. Robbie's approach is rooted in empathy and a deep understanding of what drives new revenue streams for wellness practices. He combines his understanding with a proven formula for success, starting with fostering a growth mindset, which you'll hear a lot about in every My Advice conversation. With that, I will turn it over to Robbie.
All right, sounds good. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Rachel, thank you so much for the kind introduction. Guys, it's great to be here. I'm excited to be here. Honestly, I've been looking forward to this webinar for quite some time. Just to give you a little bit of an origin story, so to speak, between Chad and myself. He actually used to be one of our competitors here with a different company competing against My Advice. And he was actually so good at what he did, I had to say, well, dude, you got to go into a different industry because you're starting to steal some of my clients away from me. So anyways,
I'm just happy that I can stop pretending that we did half the job that you guys are doing. I mean, it's so impressive some of the stuff that you're doing for practices. So
you're making me blush. Stop making me blush. But we're looking forward to what Chad has to say about integrating a weight loss part of your practice, weight loss program into part of your practice as well. And that's going to be covered within the second part of this presentation. So anyways, just to set the stage for my part's going to be around 25 minutes. I know that we do have some My Advice clients on here as well. So some of this might be a little bit repetitive, but you also might learn some stuff as well. So the idea here is I'm going to be covering some information relative to establishing a strong digital presence to really help your practice with patient acquisition. So there's a lot of things that we really look at, and I'm going to be going through what those steps are. As Rachel said, I've been in this space now for 13 years, but I originally got my start into marketing probably back in 2006, 2007. I was a advertising journalism major at Penn State University. And as a part of my curriculum, I would actually go into local businesses and write news articles. I would do video production. Looking back now, probably some of the most cringeworthy stuff you could possibly imagine. And I'll give 1,000 points to anyone who can find this post from way back in 2009 and please give it its first like. That would be really awesome. I'll give you 1,000 points. But, that type of grassroots experience has transitioned very well into working with private medical practices, because at the end of the day, you are a small business. And as a small business, you want to focus on the right digital strategies to really help you convert patients at a higher level, specifically weight loss patients as well. So I know that we have a couple different types of practices on this webinar, whether you're a dermatology practice, an aesthetic practice, med spa, or wellness clinic. Anything that I'm about to cover is really geared towards helping you with new patient acquisition efforts and really, getting your digital presence in tip-top shape. So what I'm going to be focusing on here is what we call our pyramid of success. You can kind of think about these steps here, these 6 steps, as a framework, as a recipe, if you will, that goes into developing an online presence the right way. So in other words, like, what things do I really need to focus on first within my online presence? that definitely come before more aggressive strategies like a more aggressive SEO or even paid search strategy. So the idea here is that we're going to be covering the foundational components to this first, talking about website best strategies, local citations, then reviews. Going to be covering a little bit about your social media as well. And really, after you go through steps 1 through 4, you have a pretty darn complete internet presence. But for practices who really want to press on the gas pedal and accelerate their growth even further, then that's when we want to talk about content strategies for the website, writing blogs and all that type of stuff. That usually comes in at step number 5. And step number 6 is really running a paid search campaign. You should only really do that after you have a beautiful website, after you have a process relative to Google reviews, after you have active social media. So that's kind of the idea here within this pyramid, is that we want to do everything within sequence. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is really your website, because guys, the website is the foundation to your entire digital existence. It is the nucleus. It is everything that comprises your business. It is the spirit of what you want someone to see and feel. So why do we want to focus on your website as like really just a very critical component of your online presence? It's because first impressions are everything. And when someone lands on your website, you want to make sure that you have a great before and after gallery, that your website doesn't have way too many stock photos. I really can't stand it when I see a website that just is all stock photos, but no photos of the office space or even like the outside of your office space. There needs to be more uniqueness on your website. There needs to be feeling. You know, the idea within having a good website is that you want to wrap a warm blanket around the person to say, hey, you found the place, you know, that can take care of you for what you're looking for. And again, first impressions are everything. I mean, if you remember going to Blockbuster in the 90s as an example, you know, you might be walking down one of the aisles and there might be a movie that just kind of strikes your eye, where you're squinting at it and like, hey, that movie looks a little bit interesting. And then you go up to it, you start to read a little bit more about it. But, you know, there was something that caught your eye to begin with about that movie. And that's really how we as humans look at things. We're very visual creatures. So what I'm going to do next here is I'm going to do what is called a 3-second test. And on my next slide, I'm going to have 6 different screenshots of just website homepages that I want everyone to take a look at. And I'm going to show you these 6 websites for literally 3 seconds. And I want everyone to put within the chat which numbers of those website homepages resonated with you the most. In other words, which ones just look better than the rest. So here we go. So I showed that for a little bit longer than 3 seconds. But Rachel, I'm not sure if you're still on here or if you can see the chat. But are you able to tell me what people are saying within the chat in terms of the numbers?
Sure. We've got a 2, a 3, a 6. Those look like the big ones we've got so far.
2, 3, and 6. Okay, well, let's go through these here really quickly, one by one. Number 1, it looks like maybe a website from 10 years ago. Doesn't look good, a stock photo, it's very clunky. I would never want to go there for anything. Number 2, I'm glad for the people who said number 2, you're right. Number 2, there's something visual about this, right? It's full screen, it feels good, it has a nice tagline, lose weight with ease, book now, it's a breeze. So again, literally within like 3 seconds, you're evaluating that, saying, hey, that one looks better than the rest. Number 3 and 4, kind of the same thing, you know, very clunky looking website. There's a lot of dead space to the left and to the right. Same thing with number 5 and number 6. For those of you who said number 6, looks very similar in nature to, you know, number 2 as well, with being full screen, clear navigation, nice tagline in terms of love your scale again. So you get the idea, guys. You need to have a good website that evokes emotion, because people evaluate you based upon what they see. And what I'll tell you too is that, you know, if your website is older than 2 years, it needs to be updated. Website changes in terms of technology, in terms of design aesthetics, they change very frequently in a very rapid pace. So you do want to make sure that you have a new website once every couple of years. Here at My Advice, and our clients on this webinar know this, they receive a brand new website from us automatically once every 2 years that is scaled to those changes that happen within technology as well as design aesthetics. Because a part of our job is to be successful for you. And we can't be successful if we're optimizing a website that's more than 2 years old. That's just how this process works. So anyways, step number 2 within this pyramid, after you have a beautiful website established that looks good, that feels good, that has a great before and after gallery, unique imagery, all of the above, you want to make sure that you are optimizing that website specifically for what we call local search. So this might be the first time that some of you are viewing a report that looks like this. So let me just kind of take a minute and walk you through it. So as a business owner, you have different business information all across the web. And this business information, it contains your business name, your address, and your phone number. And what happens is that all of these directories here, like you have a Google listing, you have a Bing listing, a Yahoo listing, a Yelp listing, MapQuest, there's actually around 65 of these different directory listing websites that are out there. And the main goal is that you want every single one of these directory websites to have the same information. It's really simple because when you have the same information in terms of the business name, the address, and the phone number, you're optimizing your website stronger for localized search. What I'm talking about with localized search is when someone is doing a Google search for weight loss injections near me, as an example, right? We want to make sure that you're optimizing for your local patients first. And the way that you do that is to make sure that you have correct directory information all across the web. And the secret here is even on websites that you've never heard of before. So you might be taking a look at this thinking, I haven't heard of local database or easy local. Like, why do these even matter? They matter because Google looks at them and Google is the evil empire. Okay. So you need to make sure that you have the correct information across the board. So in this particular instance, this practice name is 3 Points Wellness, Weight Loss, and Laser Sculpting. As you can see, like there's a lot of different variations of their business name here. They rebranded over the years. They changed locations. So all of that old data is still existing out there. So what's happening is that Google is taking a look at this saying, I don't really know what the hell your practice name is. I don't know your address. Like all of this is really messed up. So the main goal here, and this really does require a piece of technology, like as a human, it is very painstaking to go through 65 different directory listings and optimize them individually with keywords, the right information. So this does require a piece of technology that really just does the work for you. It's not expensive. We include it within the majority of our packages. All of our clients have it. So it just is a part of something that makes your website more trustworthy on a localized level. And again, why do we focus here? We focus here because there are 8.5 billion searches done on Google every single day. Billion. Half of which are localized. So again, when we talk about localized search, you do this and I do it. When we're in need of something, we type in our phone, something near me. Dry cleaners as an example. My dry cleaners closed a couple of months ago. So what do? I'm not driving around town looking for a new dry cleaners. I'm pulling out my phone and typing in dry cleaners near me because I need to find a new one. So you and I are conditioned that way. We're conditioned to go to our phone. We're looking for immediacy. We're looking for, something close to us as well. I don't want to have to travel far to go to a new dry cleaners. I want to find one that's relatively close to me. So you can bet that as consumers, because we are conditioned in that type of way, when we're in need of weight loss, when we're in need of Botox injections, when we're in need of hair restoration, it doesn't matter. That is how we search. We go to Google and we type in something near me. And all that I'm simply suggesting to you here is that the foundation of getting those types of search results within a Google search bar is to have accurate information all across the web. And it's just not limited, quite honestly, to Google. I mean, Google is obviously the major beast that's out there that exists. But what we're noticing now as well is that there are generative search options too for individuals. If any of you guys have played around with ChatGPT is becoming very, very smart. And as consumers, we're also going to ChatGPT and saying, hey, show me the best Italian restaurant, local to me. ChatGPT knows where we're searching. So the interesting part about this is that when you optimize a website presence well for Google, a lot of these other generative search platforms are also looking at the same things that Google is looking at. They're looking at your website, they're looking at your local listings and how accurate they are. And they're also looking at the quality of your reviews and the quantity of your reviews. And that's a good segue into this. So any business needs to have a process relative to active Google review generation. It is an absolute must. Again, this is a part of how we make everyday decisions. You're going to find that you're able to convert a higher volume of word of mouth patients when you have an active Google review strategy, because I'll give you a real life example here. A couple of months ago, I was suffering from a lot of back pain. I go to my primary care doctor. She says, Rob, I don't know how to help you, but here are 3 different physical therapists who are local to me that might be able to help you out. So she wrote those physical therapists down on a piece of paper. So what do? I go home and I do a Google search for every single one. one of the first things that I look at is the Google reviews, what other people have to say about their experience. Do you think I went to the physical therapist who has a 3 Google reviews and like a 2.9 star rating? Absolutely not. I don't trust that person, even if that person got referred over to me from my primary care doctor, who I do trust. So Google reviews have a tremendous amount of influence, not only in terms of converting more word of mouth patients, but also in terms of just what people see and what Google actually sees as well. So the last bullet point here, it says it boosts your Google local map pack rankings. So Google really likes it, and Google will place a higher emphasis and give you more visibility if you have an active Google review strategy. Most practices don't have one. If you don't have one, please contact me, because we have a great piece of technology. It's a text messaging tool where our clients are generating Google reviews every single day because of it. It works very seamlessly. It takes 5 seconds to do, and you just need to have a process for it. So make sure that you're doing that. Google reviews are superior. They matter so much, and I can't stress that enough. So working our way up the ladder here, what we also want to talk about is your social media presence. So after you have a beautiful website, after you have those local listings fixed, after you have a really active Google review strategy, let's talk about your social media. And, the common mistake that I see on my end, especially with practices who are in the wellness and aesthetic space, sometimes they hop right to like, okay, I'm starting a business and I need to do my social media right away. I'm not saying it's wrong to do social media. You should totally have a existence on social media, but we need to understand what the intent is with having a presence on social media. The intent is, when individuals are in need of something, we don't go to Facebook to find a weight loss provider. We don't go to Instagram to find a new Botox provider, right? We are being presented with information, within those platforms, and, it's good and it's fun, but at the same time, for the person who is like intent on, I need something now, they're not going to Facebook or Instagram to find what they're looking for. So in other words, your social media presence, the more active that you are, it's a good thing, but it's definitely a lot more of a retainment tool, less of an acquisition tool. Okay. If you're wanting to focus on new patient acquisition, then we need to talk about website. We need to talk about SEO. We need to talk about running paid ads as well. But your social media presence, again, you should still be doing it. And individuals look at this, they evaluate you. And at the end of the day, people connect with people. This is probably my favorite slide within this presentation. Everyone knows the company Progressive. We see the commercials all the time. And within the commercials, there's that quirky middle-aged woman who everyone likes. She's fun. She would be my best friend if she was actually like a living person in existence who kind of lived close to me. Like, she's cool. Her name is Flo, right? Everyone knows Flo. So, I find it interesting that the company itself, Progressive, like this is a screenshot from their Facebook page. The company Progressive has 517,000 followers on it. You compare that to Flo, who is obviously a part of Progressive. Flo has 3.9 million followers. So what does that tell you? That tells me that anything that you do on your social media should be more personal. It should be more, I'm not saying that you should be like that crazy, person who I knew in high school, posting every meal that she eats at every single moment in time. Like, don't be that person. But, if you can share a little bit of a window into your life, your personality, the things that you like to do, doing a 5K, or maybe a staff member's having a baby, like any stuff like that. It doesn't always have to do with, weight loss or, aesthetics. If you're just doing simple things that humanize you, that make you a real person, that say, hey, I can connect with you in my audience in my local area, you're going to find that you're going to be more successful. You're going to get more engagement, more comments, more followers, more likes. That's what this whole thing is all about. So again, keep that in mind next time that you're posting something to your social media. Be like Flo here. Be more personal, be quirky, be yourself, right? Step number 5 here, we talk about search engine optimization strategies. And to be honest with you, I'm starting to get away from the vernacular of search engine optimization because, again, with the onset of generative search and ChatGPT, that's not as much as like a search engine, if you will, like Google. It's really all about search optimization. And like I said previously in the presentation, if you hire a good search engine optimization company, they should know what to do relative to optimizing your entire internet existence, also for ChatGPT and some of these other generative search options. So, one of the first things that Google or even a ChatGPT focuses on is content strategies. So the content on your website, very simple concept. You need to have helpful content on your website that explains your services and treatment options. And there are ways of writing that can be helpful. One of the best ways is thinking about writing questions and answers for your website. You know, how much does Botox cost? You know, how long does it last? Will I get poisoning from it? You know, these are questions that people might be asking you every single day that you should also have answers on your website as well. So you want to make sure that you're answering people's questions. And, you know, what I relate in the example that I give my clients as well when we talk about content strategies is I want everyone here to get in the mindset right now that your website should be the Wikipedia resource for anything that you do. And the reason why we talk about Wikipedia is because Wikipedia is a completely content-driven resource, right? You think about Wikipedia, you could be doing a search for your favorite actor, your favorite actress, your favorite vacation destination, your favorite sports team. It doesn't matter. Like Wikipedia is usually showing up within the first couple of search results. And the reason why that is because of the content. Like there's a lot of content, it's helpful content, it helps us make everyday decisions. So your website, very simply put, needs to be the Wikipedia resource for anything weight loss related, for anything wellness related, hormone related, Botox injections related, laser hair removal related. It doesn't matter. You need to have helpful content on every single one of your services because it will help you outperform your competition. And we can help you out with that. That's a big part of what we do with our clients is focusing on writing new content, because content into a website is like feeding a baby. The more that you give a baby nutrients, it's going to grow. The more that you give a website blog content and good content into it, it's going to grow and become more authoritative. And oftentimes I get asked the question, well, like, what about AI content for my website? The interesting part about this, you know, with artificial intelligence is Google has actually come out and said, like, we are actually okay with AI content. So if you want to go to ChatGPT and say, you know, write me a content article that is covers a lot of detail about the benefits of tirzepatide. I run a wellness clinic in Loomis, California, as an example. You can do that, and it's going to spit out a really good content article that is optimized well for search. So Google is all about, again, just providing people helpful content. It doesn't care where the origin of that content is actually from, at least not at this moment in time. It cares more about, is that content helping people make everyday decisions? And I'm also going to say in the same breath, like, look, artificial intelligence right now, it is a buzz term. It's trendy, like it's freaking everywhere. And I love it. You know, I use ChatGPT almost on a daily basis. It's my personal assistant in my back pocket. If you haven't played around with it, play around with it, please. It's a lot of fun, and you really will get a lot of value out of utilizing it. But I'm also going to say in the same breath that artificial intelligence should never replace human touch. Okay. So when you run a small business, you can't overly rely on artificial intelligence to do everything for you. Otherwise, you're going to lose something. You're going to lose that human touch. And that is really what people crave in a very, very digital world that we're living in right now. So we need to keep that in mind. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of this too, relative to not leaning too much within artificial intelligence. A couple of months ago, I got an email from an AI picture generator. Basically, it said to me, it said, Robbie, you can plug in 5 photos of yourself. They could be any photos of yourself, plug them into this AI picture generator, and it's going to blend all of them together and produce me a really nice professional headshot. So I was like, what the hell? You know, I'll do this. It's like $15. I don't have a lot of time to do this, to go get new headshots. So I'm just going to see what it does. So this was the outcome after I paid that $15, and this artificial intelligence put together 5 photos of myself into an artificial version of me. It literally looks like my face is melting. So again, don't overly rely on artificial intelligence to do too much for you guys. I got to be honest with you right now. My nose is bleeding. I need like 2 seconds, if that is okay with everyone's time. This is
live
really
entertainment. Get what we can.
It is really dry here in Pennsylvania. Give me 1 second, Chad. Keep them entertained for a second.
Yeah, you know, one without outing Robbie and anything. This is not even the worst picture that I've seen of him today in his face. So I'll let everyone's minds wander as to what that might entail, but it's it's pretty crazy. I use ChatGPT while we're talking about ChatGPT every day. And just for, I mean, tasks that would take me 10, 20, 30 minutes or longer are now taking me, under a minute. And I've found that it's actually the more that I put into it and the more that and it becomes fun for me training them under the prompts. It's almost a game. And the better that I get at Chat GPT and understanding what it's going to put out, I mean, I'll have full conversations with Chat GPT. Sometimes if I just have a thought in my head, I'll go talk to Chat GPT 20, 30 minutes, So it's definitely super helpful. Anyone who has not played around with it, you should, but it's also something that it's not going to replace anything that humans are doing. And I think also it's only the outputs are only as strong as the inputs, right? So you should definitely educate yourself as to how can you best do that. And I was at a conference this weekend. I was on a podcast talking about AI, and they were talking about AI a year ago, and what was going to happen to whether it was a marketing company or whatever. And even though it's become even more popular with people using it, I don't think that it's necessarily started replacing humans at a super high level yet. So I get it. It's trendy. It's definitely a buzzword. Everyone wants to utilize AI in different capacities, but
I agree with you. Yeah. And, I think that the key is that we have to understand that its intent is to help us become more efficient. Right. And if it's going to help us become more efficient, it's going to save us time. It's going to help us run a more efficient practice and allow you guys just to kind of do your thing at a little bit more of an effective high level. So again, we're not to the point where it's going to replace human touch. I mean, I don't think that that'll ever happen, to be honest with you. But if it allows you to be more efficient and ask it questions and become educated yourself and help you out with even like social media, like we just came out with a brand new social media AI caption generator you can put a prompt into it and you could say, hey, I have a practice in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I run a medical spa and I want people to understand the differences between Botox and Dysport as an example. And it will produce you an actual post about that. So it's some crazy stuff that's happening. It's fun. It's interesting. It's really great to be a part of. But again, the practices that I see become most successful, they're not replacing anything that they're doing necessarily. It's helping them become more efficient is the idea. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this presentation up by going through these last couple of slides here, and then I'm going to attend to my nosebleed here in a little bit, but I appreciate everyone's patience. So the last option here within this pyramid is really talking about paid search. So I get asked the question all the time, Robbie, I have ambitions of growth, and I'll take a look at their website, I'll look at their Google reviews, and they say to me like, Robbie, I want to be able to run a paid search campaign because I heard that's the thing to do. But if I take a look at their website and their website is either non-existent or if it's outdated, or if they have like literally 4 Google reviews, like now's not the time to run a paid ad campaign. You need to establish a stronger foundation within your online presence before you start dumping a lot of money into a very expensive venture like paid ads. So paid ads is not a cheap thing to do. If you're looking to do it the right way in competitive areas, you want to invest, a fair amount into that. And, there's ways that we can kind of guide you on what those investments actually look like based upon how many people are actually searching for what you want to optimize for. Generally speaking, a lot of our clients are not spending less than, I would say, $2,500 a month in running a paid ad campaign. But it can be very effective if you have the budget for it over the course of time. If you don't have the budget for it, then you need to focus on the foundational strategies. And the cool thing about this, especially as it pertains to weight loss too, is, if you decide to run a paid search campaign and, this is a part of what maybe Chad can touch on too, it's going to pay for you guys to be legit script certified, and Chad can help you out with that. Being legit script allows you to run those types of advertisements for the brand name. So if someone is going to Google and typing in semaglutide treatment near me, tirzepatide treatment near me, if you're not legit script certified, you can't do that. You have to run different campaigns that just say basically weight loss injections near me. So it becomes a little bit more broad-based as opposed to more specific. So anyways, the bottom line here is that you want to run a paid search campaign only when it's right to do that. And generally speaking, especially if you're just getting started, now's not the time to do that. But if you're more mature and if you're trying to boost volume, for something really specific, then paid search can be very, very effective. On average, our clients are seeing around a 2 to 1%, a 2 to 1 return rather on running a Google ad campaign. And what you need to know about Google ads is, this is how Google makes its money. So people are clicking into these ads. I mean, Google is a multiple billion-dollar company. They're huge, they're massive. And the way that they're getting people to click into these ads is that they're starting to, basically make these advertisements look like organic search results. So if you remember from like 2008 to 2013, like this is how Google ads looked. Like they were a big yellow box. They said, hey, these are clearly advertisements. What Google noticed was because of that, because of this big yellow box and people understanding like, hey, they're paying for that real estate, they weren't getting a lot of clicks. So then you fast forward to 2016 to 2022, they got rid of that yellow box, but it says advertisement then aside of it. So on the left-hand side here, if you can see, it says ad aside of the ad. So you're still getting an idea that like, hey, these are advertisements, but again, the yellow box is gone. So they did find that, more people are going to be clicking into those. But as it looks right now, it literally just says sponsored, and it looks like almost an organic search result. And what Google has noticed is that they're making more money because of this, because it's blending in more with the organic search results. So again, people are clicking into these, it works. My advice, my guidance to you is that if this is something that you have a little bit more of a budget for, and most of our practices, they're investing anywhere from, I would say 5 to 8% of what they're grossing back into their marketing efforts. So you could do that math on your own at home. But if you have a budget for this, and if you're looking to accelerate growth further, please reach out and we could have a conversation about it to see if it makes sense for you. But again, I can promise you the first thing that I would do is take a look at your website first, your content, your local listings, your reviews. And if none of those, or if some of those are in okay shape, then we need to start that conversation there first. So anyways, that is in review of our pyramid of success with a little nosebleed on the side here. Again, going through these steps, this is what we've seen be very successful for our practices. You need to follow these steps in sequence because this is what is going to get you results. I invite everyone here to schedule up a meeting with me. What I'd like to do is do individual one-on-one types of meetings, and through that QR code. Actually, hold on one second. You know what? That QR code might still link over to our Calendly page. Please send me an email. Send me an email at robert.antozzi@myadvice.com, or just shoot me over a text message, 610-223-7817. And I would be happy to schedule up a consultation with you and go through your own individual digital presence in just a little bit more detail. So anyways, I appreciate everyone's time, everyone's patience. Chad, I'm going to pass this over to you, my friend.
Thank you. I mean, so I grew up with the Kurt Schilling bloody sock game. So I watched that. Now I have the Robbie Antozzi My Advice Bloody Nose webinar.
This is
And
going to be a legendary webinar, one for the ages.
those are one and the same. So yeah, let's get me the screen share so Robbie can go pass out.
Rachel, can you give Chad the screen
I
share?
think I have it. I think I
All right.
have it. So, all right. It says I'm screen sharing. So, anyways, thank you for that. So what I'm going to do tonight, just so everyone knows, is I'm going to make the assumption that either everyone is already signed up with my advice and driving tons of traffic to their website and getting high quality traffic in that, or you're going to realize that that's a conversation that you need to have so that the things that I talk about tonight, you're going to be able to execute on at a high level. And so the focus tonight is going to be how can we treat more patients without necessarily having to see more patients. And I use that because there's so many new trends in wellness and just medicine in general. And historically, when you would go find a marketing company, you were looking to outrank other practices. You were looking to beat your competition for the people around you or close by. And now I'm calling on everyone. Your colleagues down the street are no longer your competitors, especially when it comes to wellness. There are these huge platforms that if you're interested in weight and wellness, or if you've started weight and wellness, you've probably run into these before. Sites like Row, Hims, they're using these asynchronous consultations, which make medication access extremely easy. And now from the patient's point of view, that's amazing because you can go online, you can find the medication that you want, you can get approved, or you can qualify when you want to, and you don't have to rearrange your day. And so that's really led to this huge flood of patients kind of leaving traditional medical providers and flocking to these online retailers. And that's really kind of causing, trouble amongst, getting the best quality care. And so we need to fight back against that. And so the first question is obviously, for those not familiar, what is an asynchronous consultation? Well, an asynchronous consultation in 32 states, I'll go over which states, is a legal consultation. It meets the standard of care where a patient can go online through your website, through your social media platforms, wherever you might interact with patients, and they can pre-qualify for medications based on answers that they give you. And so one of the things that we're doing with all of our providers is providing that same technology that has powered these signups on Row and Hims and getting that into branded practices. So as an example here, this is a plastic surgery practice out in San Francisco, where now I find that person, I'm able to answer the questions, and I can actually qualify for those medications instantly, or once a provider approves it. So if you look here, these are the list of the states. If you are in a gold or a brown state, depending on how your eyes work, that what I just walked you through, it's a little bit more detailed. Obviously, there's about 10 pages of questions that you would want to have a patient answer. That's your consultation. If you're in a blue state or a red state, all that means is you can still perform an asynchronous consultation, but you're going to need to have some type of quick follow-up, but you're not going to have spend 30 minutes with those patients collecting all that information, asking all of those questions. You can collect that online. And so it becomes a real valuable piece, and not only capturing opportunities in patients when they want to be seen, but also speeding up the process and the practice and not taking away time from either seeing those patients, doing other treatments, or doing other things that can grow the business. So that's a little bit about an asynchronous consultation. And the idea around those asynchronous consultations, by putting them in your practice, that's going to give you the ability to compete with these large direct-to-consumer platforms. As an example, one of the things that we do on Dr. Well to fight back against these big online retailers is we've actually gone out and created a platform that if you go to drwell.com, you have all these different medications. It's very similar to what you'd find online. But the benefit to patients who are finding Dr. Well is we're connecting them with providers in our network. And so every single day we have patients who have either been on medications through Row and Hims, and they felt that trouble in getting the care they deserve, or they're looking to start their weight loss and they recognize that they want to do that under the guidance of a real provider. And so we're driving these patients to this site where then they have the opportunity based on their area, services, how they want to be seen. They can connect with providers and instantly fill out those consultations. And then you can also take, and if you have a website, right, which obviously, again, I'm assuming everyone is going to be working with my advice to get this built out, you can build that same link into your own site so that when a patient comes to you through a paid search, through social media, through Google search, however they're getting onto your site, you can actually have them go through that asynchronous consultation and get qualified for medications. So you'd have a patient go online, they'd get connected with you, they'd click they'd want to start their smart consult, and then as a provider, you're instantly notified where you can start approving patients for medications without having to see them. And so you can see that's really easy for the patient, and they know that they don't necessarily want to be seen right away, but if they get started and they go on these medications and 3, 4, 5 months down the road, they start to deal with side effects, or they start to plateau, or they have trouble, whatever it is, they love having a real provider on the other end that they can call or that they can text, or even better, if you make it easy, they can do all of that through the platform, through just instant communication. So what we want to do from a patient standpoint is, okay, if we start having all these patients that start to come through, they identify medications that they want, what can you do to build on that momentum and get them easily enrolled in your program once you've approved them and said that they're a candidate for the medication? Through Dr. Well's platform, and come in, you have a list of medications that you preset. We want to help you find the right mix. We don't just want this to be about weight loss. We want to have options for all patient types. You go in, you send them a link, they go online, super easy checkout experience, just like they would if they were going through a Hims and a Hers. Step by step, if you were to look at, and if for anyone who has a weight and wellness program, I'd kind of challenge you to think about, what does it look like to enroll a patient in your program right now? And how can you simplify that, not just for you, but for the patient? And so if you start to identify patients have specific medications that they want, can you just send them a link, email, text it to them? When they get onto some place where now it's an opportunity that they can sign up for these medications, what does that look like? Are they going through a portal that is, again, would be entirely labeled to the practices individually, but is it easy for them to add their information? Is it easy for them to put in their shipping information? Can they get their credit card? Can they access a portal where they can make these changes? And then once they do that, they have an opportunity where they start to really understand, okay, I'm going to be charged every 28 days. Why am I going to be charged every 28 days? Well, if I'm doing a weekly injection once a week, 4 times before my provider is going to move me to the next dose that's best for me, well, we want to automate those charges to keep the patient on schedule. And so we're not trying to just speed up the charges to get them billed every 28 days for no reason, but it's actually going to help them get the best result. And then once they enroll, we have notifications. Of course, you want to know when patients sign up. And it can be that easy. If you compare that to what you're doing right now, this is really going to open yourself up to start to see more patients. And again, if you tie that into the asynchronous consultation, there's really no time that you have to set aside to see these patients. And especially when you're building out your schedule, depending on what system you're using, some systems, the minimum amount of time that you can schedule for is 15 minutes. You don't want to start blocking off 15-minute intervals for 2-3-minute consultations when they can be done on your own time, during a break, during downtime, or even after the practice, from your phone, from your computer. You could be here with me in Hilton Head at a conference and just quickly go through all your asynchronous consultations for the week, get those patients approved and get them enrolled. I mean, it really does not only free the patient up to get medicine the way that they want to, but you can start to see how you can build a program and maybe change some of the ways that you're running the practice. Now, of course, we want to do all this responsibly. And so what happens when we enroll a patient? What does your ordering process look like? How do we know what medications to get? How do we know what dose the patient's on? Where do we send it? Well, on the Dr. Well platform, we're trying to make that as easy and seamless as possible. So as patients start to enroll and you notice that those transactions come in, you get a notification when a transaction populates. What's great about this is we actually generate a prescription order based on the payment processing. So the payment processes, that tells you the patient's due for a refill. And then you can just log into one simple orders page where you can find the patient that you want to release the medication to. And instead of having to log into a clunky compound pharmacy portal and recreate all this information, our system is going to automatically generate that. You verify everything looks great. And then you can decide if you want to ship that medication to your clinic. So if the patient wants to come in and get it from you, they can do that. Or if they're a little bit further away, or they just would rather it show up right at their doorstep, you can ship that medication directly to the patient. Doesn't make any difference for you. You go click, click, submit, and then you wait for that refill to come in on whatever schedule that patient's medication cycle is looking like. And then obviously, in addition to getting patients their medication, we want to make sure that they're getting a great result. And now again, most patients respond amazingly well to these medications. I've lost 30 pounds on these meds. I haven't had any side effects, any challenges. But I do like being able to communicate with my provider. And so one of the things that we've been working on is the ability for patients to have access to the provider kind of whenever they need it. And so through a secure messenger portal, now patients can go in, they can ask you questions about their dose. They can talk about other medications. They can just ask generic questions about the practice and other things that you might be doing, but they're able to do that on their time, right? And so you don't have to have 2 people come together and find a time that works for both. They can do that, and then you can respond, and the patients will really get used to this type of cadence. And now you can have hundreds, if not thousands of patients, God willing, in our practices, and helping them all get amazing results without sacrificing that continuity of care gap that we've already recognized exists when patients are going through these large direct-to-consumer platforms. So that's really important that we bridge that gap. And so to kind of summarize those thoughts, what does the modern medical practice look like? Well, you on the left, you have your traditional process, right, where the patient calls the office. Now they're waiting for the staff to return the call. They're either on hold, maybe the person picks up, they have to understand, okay, what are the benefits of this? You have to have all of these questions answered. And We know there's some challenges with that, and I'm sure we all have amazing front desk people and sales protocols and whatnot, but in the cases that we don't, it can be a challenge, right? Once a patient then understands all the information that they need, now we have to schedule appointment. If you look at your schedules, you're all super busy doing other things. What does it look like for a turnaround time if you have a patient who wants to get in on weight loss right now? Typically, that can be days, if not weeks later. Well, if you are the first option and you say, hey, I can't see you until 10 days from now, the patient's going to be disappointed. Well, now they're going to go back to one of those direct consumer platforms where they can get it instantly. Then separately, you'd look at attending an in-person visit. That's going to allow force patients to have to take time off of work. They're going to have to travel. They're going to have unnecessary wait times. And then once they do that, they'll receive the prescription. Typically, they have to go to the pharmacy, pick it up, and then wait in line. And it's just a hassle for the patient. Honestly, it really is. Versus if you take the Dr. Well Smart Consult process, you can have a patient go online, complete that questionnaire. It's available anytime, anywhere. Again, certain states have different regulations, but you can do that in any state. Now, you receive those notifications instantly that a provider or a patient has requested to get approved for medications. You can go in, look at all the contraindications, the BMI, the health history, whatever it is that you're looking for. Once you figure out, okay, this person looks good, you can simply approve them, send them a quick link where they go online. Now the patient's in charge of signing themselves up. What's great about this is the patient's usually a little bit more motivated to get on these medications than, even sometimes the provider is. And so they're really fast to go on there and sign themselves up, put in the correct information, and they'll be all over you, making sure that they get the link. And so it really helps in terms of making sure that you're getting patients enrolled when they want to, and then the medications show up, and then they keep showing up, and then you're there to make sure that they get a great result. And it's just so much easier for patients. And it's really one of the things that's allowed our practices to kind of get to the next level in terms of growth within their weight and wellness programs. And so I definitely challenge everyone to look at how are you doing things now. And if this is something that, because we also come on the other side of it, which is it does seem a little crazy that this is how medicine is practiced. But once you get over that and you realize this is what your patients want, and you start to think about, okay, if this is what patients want, they're way better off doing that with you than they are with someone that they're not going to be able to talk to. And so the way that we position this is you have direct to consumer, but this is direct to consumer done responsibly through a provider to consumer network. And that's so important to our patients and the results, and why we have patients constantly telling us, how happy they are with their practices and their medications. And so it's just a new way of doing medicine. And I think everyone should at least give it a shot. And then you think about yourself, okay, once you get your weight loss program up and running, and then you have patients coming in for this, if you go back to the Dr. Well site, you look at all the different medications that we have providers offering, and you think, okay, how do we expand? How do we get better patient results? How do we keep them in our programs longer? If that leads to higher practice revenue on a monthly basis, then that's a great thing as well. And so these are some of the medications in addition to the tirzepatide that we have providers, are some of my personal favorites, if I'm being honest. So the hairspray, really popular. I think everyone should look to have a solution. Even if you pick and choose the medications, you want to have a solution for hair loss. You want to have a solution for longevity. You want to have a solution for anti-aging, recovery, weight loss. Those are kind of the big ones. And then if you want to get into more health, wellness, testosterone, hormones, those are all things that can be done through our platform. And we have practices doing that super successfully. And then the mix is great, because what happens is patients start to go on semaglutide, or they start to go on tirzepatide, and they start to lose weight and they start to feel good again. They get that confidence. They want to build on that. And so maybe you get to a place where you have 50 weight loss patients, but you can take those 50 weight loss patients and get 40 of them on a B12 shot. And then you can get 25 of them on an NAD plus injection. And so the patient population starts to build upon itself, even though you might not always have to go out and target and market to new opportunities. You can make the most of the opportunities that you already have and help them get a great result, which is going to lead to, the most important thing that Robbie talked about, which is your word of mouth and in your Google reviews, right? So if we can improve all of those things, that's a great way. That's a great thing. And this is just going to give us the opportunity to treat as many patients as possible and help them get the access that they want. So with that being said, I did try to leave some time for Q&A, and hopefully there are some questions. If you do want to learn a little bit more about our platform, or even if you are if you're already a Dr. Well provider and you might only be using semaglutide and tirzepatide at the moment, and you want to start to add on some of these things, you can use this QR code. That's going to bring you to a link where you can fill out some information. We'd love to get you on a meeting. We'll get you on if you are a provider. You can get with one of our customer success team members if you're looking to get on. I'd be happy to meet with you and kind of talk about our program, talk about what that looks like. Feel free to follow us on Instagram, TikTok. What's great about our TikTok and Instagram is it's everything that we do on the marketing side right now is really driven towards driving patients back to our platform to help our providers grow their network. But there's tons of great educational content. So check us out there. This is my cell phone and my email here. So if you want to email me personally, chat at Dr. Well. If you want to email or call me, 401-649-0086. And this is something I'm super passionate about. I love watching our providers treat more patients and help them get the outcomes. I have a lot of personal close friends and family who have really benefited from being able to go on these medications in this style of program, who wouldn't normally be able to carve out the time necessary to get the care and go get this stuff done, and being able to have this shipped to them and get the supervision that they need to make sure that they get the result is just something that, it's really hard to recreate that. So hopefully you guys have some questions, and thanks for everybody for jumping on and spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you, Robbie and Chad. I hope Robbie's nose is okay. We're back. Okay, I was gonna say we had one or two questions for Rob, but I was gonna hold them if we need to.
No, we're good. Yeah, I actually, before we do that, I guess another comment, and Chad, fantastic presentation. And I do employ everyone here to reach out to him and, schedule up a time to at least learn about what these options are. I think he did a great job in terms of presenting them. The way that I understand this too is, you get someone involved in these weight loss medications, and in a lot of ways, um, they're going to come back to the practice for other things then, right? Like maybe they come back to the practice for fillers, or as you said, other injections. So it's really a good entry point into a lot of other menu items that you guys have, within your practice as well. And
Yeah.
obviously you're just kind of riding the coattail of just brand awareness right now. I mean, everyone is talking about it, so you have to be prepared for that.
I have some providers who they're doing great with the weight and wellness, but they've invested in other equipment, and they are passionate about that equipment as well. But have reported a little bit of a decline in some of the popularity of those treatments, and they're pairing, and they're still allowing patients to have the medication shipped to them and do all the easy things that we're talking about. But then they're still promoting to them and saying, hey, if you're a part of our weight loss program, we'll provide you with, I have some providers who are providing a complimentary M-Sculpt treatment once you've reached 3 months in the program. And then someone comes in, and again, they're losing weight. Now they have a little excess skin probably. They get that first treatment. They see the benefits there. And so there are so many things that you can do to pair. And again, it's all part of the value proposition that the patient has. And it also, from a marketing standpoint, it opens you up to a whole kind of new segment of patients, right? Not every single person out there is thinking that they're a candidate for Botox initially or plastic surgery, and they wouldn't even go to those sites normally. But if they start to come to you for weight loss, which resonates with basically everyone, now maybe they have a chance to be educated around the benefits of those treatments that they might have said, you know what, that's not for me. And they start to look at it and say, oh, that is for me. And so it's a great marketing opportunity to just meet people who, maybe been around you for a while and have even driven by your office. Who knows how many times that, med spa, I don't do that. And now, maybe they do.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I agree with you. Just like for instance as well, it's um there's where I live about an hour outside of Philadelphia, and there is this organization here. It's a company called Baja Beach, and I don't even know if Baja Beach is a national chain or not. Does that sound familiar to you guys or no? Baja
Not, not,
Beach,
not me.
not you.
No.
Okay. So it must just be local for me. And you know, so they used to do like the whole tanning bed thing. And again, this was probably like 10 or 15 years ago. And just this week, I'm driving down one of the main highways here, and doesn't Baja Beach kind of turn into a med spa now? So, it's just weird because the irony of like, okay, we started off with this business that, you know, did tanning beds, and obviously that's not healthy to begin with. Now we're a med spa. Now we're trying to help you lose some weight as well. You know what I mean? So it's everywhere. And I think the point that I'm trying to convey is your competitors are on every street corner for this type of stuff. You know, even the Baja Beaches, who, you know, are not going to offer as good of services and oversight as what you would. So you have to be prepared. Your marketing strategy has to be prepared, and you need to be prepared to partner with, you know, organizations like Dr. Well that will, you know, definitely take good care of you guys. So anyways, that's all I got.
I think that's a great way to end it, guys. We will, if there are additional questions, please, you can respond to my email tomorrow. It will have Robbie's, make sure we'll have Robbie's correct link, HubSpot meeting link. I'll have Chad's information in there as well as the recording links. So you'll have everything you need. If you can't get a hold of someone, you can respond to that email and I will get you to where you need to go, to your marketing coach, if you're my advice client, whatever. So thank you all so much for attending, and just have a great rest of your evening.
And before we go, Rachel, thank you for putting this on and helping us get it all together and helping us stay organized. So I really appreciate
Yeah.
all the work that you put in. So thanks
My
for
pleasure.
thanks
We
for
needed
having
that
me on.
too. Yeah. Thank you, Rachel. Chad, have a
Thanks,
good evening.
guys. Great presentation.
Yeah, bye.
Talk soon. Bye.